Hi guys. Today I wanted to make a video, and it was to answer Jerry's question about prepping on a budget. First off, I have to apologize for this video because my tripod decided to break down. Y'all get to enjoy all this sexiness during the video. I usually try to keep my overwhelming sexiness out of these videos. Such a shame. Anyway, and during trying to fix that problem, my Dremel tool decided to take a crap, and look what it did to me. Look at that. Look. I almost died trying to make a video for you guys. The sacrifices I make. Anyway, Jerry, I don't make a lot of money myself. I barely get by with what I have. I make very little money, and most of it goes to bills. However, I do have a hobby that involves prepping, which is paracord. I like to do all sorts of paracord stuff, and that helps out tremendously with prepping because I can make some of my own gear. Like, there are many knives that I've made sheaths for. I've been known to make gun holsters. I make my own rifle sling, which kind of cuts down costs on those things, but still kind of expensive. But I try to do whatever I can to get whatever I can on a budget. And the fact that I live alone, I am a single bachelor, as you can tell by the amount of care I put into shaving and other de-gorillizing effects. So yeah, I only have to prepare for myself, which means in my situation, since I don't have a lot of room, I don't have a lot of areas to keep stuff, I don't have a lot of resources myself, most of it consists of stuff to bug out with and learning how to adapt to the situations, which is the biggest thing you can do as a prepper, is learning to adapt to different situations. And this past weekend I actually had a chance to test out a little bit of my gear, and I'll tell you those results as I go along here. But first thing I wanted to bring to mind is food. Now, unlike married folk who usually cook on a daily basis, I really don't cook for myself that often. If I do, it's something easy to grab. So I don't can my own food. I don't, rotate it out like you very well should. But what I do stock up on are things that I don't touch unless things get really bad. Now, first of all, this first part of advice is just simple things you can stock up on, but not necessarily things that you won't use either. Like, well, there are a few food items that I know about. I'm sure there are a lot more that don't expire. So you can stock up on these items, and in a bad situation, you'll have something to fix and eat. First off, at my work, we get these little packets of honey. I'm using a front-facing camera, guys, so it's probably going to be mirrored. Honey is everlasting. It doesn't go bad, and in these packets, it'll take a long time to crystallize. Now, just because it crystallizes doesn't mean it goes bad, but it's a good thing to have. Honey can be used as a sweetener. It's also got a few medicinal applications. So yeah, it's a great thing to have. Of course, I got it dirt cheap, but honey can be a little bit on the expensive side, but if you're not going to use it, you may want to spend maybe $10 getting some, if you have that to spare. A lot of times I don't. That's how much on a budget I am. Salt. Now this is expensive salt. It's called real salt, and it's mined, I do believe, out of the Black Sea. I'm not sure. But anyway, this stuff is pure. It is not bleached, it's not iodized. However, it does have natural iodine in it, I believe. But it comes with different things like phosphorus. Yeah, it does have a little bit of iodine. Manganese, copper, zinc, iron, magnesium, sulfur, potassium, calcium. These are all things that most Americans don't even get in their diet, and they're things your body needs. So, yeah, if you can end up affording some of this stuff, it's great. But regular iodized salt or uniodized salt lasts forever as well. Now, it may be a brick by the time you get around to using it, but who knows? Rice. Rice is everlasting. I have a few of these laying around. 2 cups of rice is good for a giant meal, so very good stuff to have around. I would suggest pepper with your salt, but if you're going to keep it for long storage, it does lose its potency, so you may not be a good idea to keep. I don't know, whatever you want to do. I'm also personally a tea person. I know it also starts to lose its flavor after so long, but it does have a long shelf life as well. And during those situations, a good cup of tea with some honey would probably do you some good to raise morale. Some other things here. Now, our local food pantry is pretty good at just dishing out stuff, and luckily my aunt goes there often and gives me the stuff that she doesn't want. So in addition to that, I got this stuff, which is a lentil casserole. Again, we're mirrored, so you might not be able to read that. But this is a bag full of lentils, has a little bit of rice, dehydrated carrots, dehydrated corn, it looks like. Maybe not, I don't know. Anyway, this makes a crap load of food, and it's meant to feed a crap load of people and keep forever. So, also a good thing if you run by a food pantry or some other way of getting some of this. It's also designed for use in foreign aid, so a lot of times government might have it available to stockpile if you know where to get some in your area. I unfortunately don't know where to get more. This is a pizza mac, again designed for areas with hunger. So you may look into seeing if you can find some of this. I don't know. Again, it's pasta. Pasta is pretty hardcore stuff. It lasts for a while. Doesn't have a lot of nutrition, but if you're looking for something to run off of for a while, maybe good stuff. Which also leads me to spaghetti. I don't know why I put that there, and you can't see it. Spaghetti. Like I said, any pasta would be great to keep around, but you have like 5 meals worth of some kind of filler right here. May not be highly caloric. Well, it may be highly caloric, but it doesn't have a lot of the nutrition you need, which is probably where your salt would come in. And also, something that just came to mind, it's something that I already have done as a kid, and I'm sure most of us have, learning how to be creative with food. Your grocery options during a bug out situation probably won't be the best. You may not have things like butter, milk, all that kind of essentials to use. Learning how to mimic those flavors is very good. Like creamer, the powdered creamer, enough of that gives you a milk-like consistency, and it worked really well for cornbread for me. Simple things like that. You may want to experiment if you ever get the time or money. But learning how to feed yourself in terrible situations goes a long way. I also have this thing, which is rice, and it looks like, yeah, just rice and carrots. Yeah, so I mean, some of these things come in very handy. And the last thing here, we're talking about bug out material. These are things I stocked up on because I had the chance and a little bit of money to do so, and well, Dan was very generous with some of his stuff that he stocked up on. But as the way of food goes, one of these bricks is $7 or $14. I can't remember. I think it was $14 because I bought 2, so it may be $7. Anyway, I bought these online myself. I bought it on eBay. eBay's my best friend. But these are, yeah, Datarex emergency rations. Now, I actually like these very much. As you can see, they're sold in these little bricks, and they're somewhat easy to open up. Each one of these is about maybe 2.5 inches long, about 1.5 inches wide. There's 3 days worth of food in this. So one of these in your bug out bag has you covered for food, because the bug out bag is meant for 72 hours. I kind of like to go a little overboard because I don't know what situations I'm getting into, and I don't know where I'm going to end up during that 72-hour period. I may have to go a little longer, so I've doubled that supply. But, yeah, and I'm actually going to get more of these because thinking of maybe using it as a diet plan to amp up the sexiness. Anyway, get rid of the food so we can go on to our next subject. Alright. That brings us to water. Unfortunately, I have failed quite miserably in this area. But after watching a few videos Dan had posted, I'm going to up my efforts in that area. But what I've done for my bug out bag, in particular, again, me being single, my plan is to leave, not to stick around unless I have to, or unless, you know, you should be willing to wait it out. Which for me, 3 days of food and water isn't going to be much. So what I'm going to end up doing after this video during this weekend is I'm going to pick up 3 gallons, if not 6, of distilled water. Now this is just my rational thought. I would believe that distilled water would probably last a little better, seeing how it's basically vaporized water. You know, a lot of contaminants get taken out of it. I could be very well mistaken, but that's the route I'm probably going to go unless somebody teaches me otherwise. Anyway, for my bug out bag, I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these. Anyway, these things are terrible. They're water you don't want to drink unless you have to. 5-year shelf life. I'm pretty sure whatever they put in it does not taste that great. I've tried it and it was pretty harsh. But also, the directions on here tell you not to drink water for the first day. And we're probably assuming that you're in some pretty disastrous situation, as these are rations. They're meant to be in pretty bad situations. So yeah, in a bug out situation, this is just to get me to another water source. I do need to get a water filtration device. That's where it gets really expensive. The least you're going to pay is about $20 to $30, and that's on a cheap system. So, you know, what have you there? This is what I'm going with for right now, and some distilled water in the future. But that's just for me. If you have a family, you got to make sure you have at least 1 gallon of water per day per person. For me, that's pretty easy, depending on how many little ones you got, how many big ones you got. Yeah. That is all things you have to consider, is because I'm just buying for myself. Anyway, I don't know how many times I've reiterated that, but anyway, get rid of some of this, clear off my area here so I can move on to different things. Medical supplies are something that I'm very low on. And I just had an accident several months ago that made me realize that I'm low on these things. But that's soon to be taken care of as well. Now, unfortunately, you're not going to find a lot of antibiotics and stuff like that unless you raid a pharmacy. But your best bet is to keep whatever you can on hand. This isn't necessarily a med kit. This is just something I put together to just have in different packs. My bug out bag has something similar to this, but it does carry some emergency stuff, like a triangle bandage. Of course, regular bandages. Hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer is gold in situations where water is scarce. Stock up on it. It's somewhat cheap. It's available. Have it in every pack. Maybe 2 or 3. This is a mask. So masks are very important in situations where you may encounter some viruses, dust, all sorts of situations. And the packs that I dissected also had this little thermal blanket, also something I would recommend. And of course, this doesn't count as medical supplies, but it very well does help. Stock up on gauze. Some Neosporin, but it runs out, so, you know, after the expiration date it becomes nothing but accelerant. It doesn't help anything. Anything else medical in this pack? No. Let's see what my emergency pack has. My bug out bag. And as mentioned before in one of the other posts, have some whiskey on hand. It works well as a disinfectant, and maybe if you need to calm down somebody who's been injured. Not the best time to get somebody drunk, but if it'll help calm them. Also for sore throats, apparently is very good, according to one of our members here. So, yeah. And I recommend having a few bottles for bargaining. Bargaining to trade with. But here's the kit from my bug out bag. Let's see if it has anything extra in it, because I do know I put a lot of different stuff in it. Aha! Prep pads. Alcohol pads are awesome. Again, accelerants. They're also medically needed, and if you wear glasses, they're great to have around. These sewing kits. Family Dollar. I usually try to avoid them, but Family Dollar sells these for $1. As you can tell, they are pre-threaded. No need to thread a needle in a bad situation. They come with one button, one safety pin. At least, no, 2 buttons. $1. Perfect thing to pick up. I would recommend one for every pack you have. And, oh yes. At work we sell some first aid kits. This is a Band-Aid package that I bought a while back. But anyway, this is not the pack that I had. You're not the one I'm looking for. Anyway, I had one of these that has packets of off-brand Neosporin in it that I bought from work. It's an awesome thing. So, this is by no means anywhere near sufficient. So, stock up on cheap medical stuff. Gauze is not as cheap as it used to be. Any disinfectants you can find. Iodine, I don't think has a expiration date. I very well may be wrong on that. You'd have to research it. But a lot of the stuff you can find pretty cheaply. Now, for what everybody likes to do in a bug out situation, or get, is gear. We all like gear. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. Candles. Pretty cheap. Come nighttime, when you're sitting around talking to somebody, you're going to wish you had some of these. I always like putting them into some kind of container myself. This is not candles, but, you know, if you can melt a couple into one of these, it's awesome. And this is a snooze can. If you know anybody who uses these, they're great to have. Alright. On to gear, I guess. Well, I already said that. In a bad situation, I did not buy this. My buddy Dan gave me a surplus gas mask. It's something I never thought to buy, but you never know what's going to hit. Now, I carry this in my bug out bag because my bug out situation may involve me running. But my bug out bag is right where I can get to it easily too. So if I need a gas mask, I can get to it. And this is a bag I made. That box you see me carry everything out of, this is what it came in. Or this is what came in it. Anyway, it comes with these 2 little eggs where the filters are. Unfortunately, I cannot test these, because once I open these up, that filter may get contaminated. And I don't want to be relying on a filter that's contaminated. But it looks like I'm going to have to cut these things open. So I don't know what I'm going to do in a bad situation, because I'm probably going to die before I get to my filter. Anyway, leave it to NATO. But, yeah, gas mask is something you may want to look into. They can be somewhat expensive. I honestly don't know. Anyway, that's something to look at. That's more of a luxury on somebody who's trying to prep on a budget. In my little King James Bible, I bought this back in a while. It was about $10, so may not necessarily need that. This type, you do need a Bible. Not trying to get all preachy, but a Bible is something you need in a very bad situation. You need something to give you hope, and God's Word always does that for me. This is a King James. I like things like NKJV myself, easier to read, but to study with, those are perfect. Burner phone. This is a phone from TracFone. TracFone is the only phone company that now still allows you to do minutes for whatever you need. Whenever I set one of these up, I don't have to set it up for a monthly plan. I just have to set it up with the amount of minutes I gave it. Granted, each one of those minute cards are about $20, but that's a burner phone you'll have for a little while until you need to get some other form of communication. And that goes along with a plan. You have to have a plan. You have to have somebody to contact. You have to have somebody to go to. I bought these online. If you don't mind waiting for them, they are probably close to $3 each. But expandable phone cord. And a little charger. Because most phones are going to USB and micro USB. Perfect to have something like that around. And since I'm on that subject, the books that Dan seems to post a lot of, most of them are available online on Kindle. And as opposed to spending $7.99 on a book, you can spend $2.99. And the cool thing is you buy it on Kindle. I do believe you can download it and read your books offline, which is perfect in a bug-out situation because you can carry an entire library on a cheap mobile phone. This one I wouldn't recommend as a burner, but as a way to keep maybe some entertainment on, some libraries. A lot of people would suggest that electricity would not be accessible. It very well may not be. I would also recommend maybe looking into a battery pack, recharger at some point. But it's not something you have to rely on, but it's something that may be useful, gives you some good reading, gives you something to watch. And one of the biggest priorities of emergencies is to get power back onto different places. So as long as you're not out of a nuclear fallout and stuck in the woods somewhere, more than likely you're going to come across some kind of electricity at some point. But yeah, I would recommend something like this. It's a ZTE World 2. I spent $10 on this phone. I've had it for a while. So, yeah, something you may want to look into, getting a Kindle account, and if you want all the books that you see posted on this page, download them on Kindle. I mean, most of them are there, at least, the one I was looking for was. I'm pretty sure most of them are there. If it that little cheap book was there. Anyway, looks like I'm going on 30 minutes already. Damn. Sorry. But anyway, on to more gear. Knives. Most of you preppers will pick up a K-bar. I've never owned a K-bar. I can't afford a K-bar. But what I do have are a couple $8 knives, and of course I do these as hobbies. You can get something small, like one of these guys. I picked these knives up for $3, or $4, somewhere around there. But anyway, they're thick, hold a decent edge. I put the paracord on myself. It did come with paracord. I think it was black cord. And then of course I corded that up. These were pretty cheap. I'm actually trying to sell these. This knife was about $10. This one around $6, $8. Cute little knife. I love this knife. It's all blue because that's my urban carry stuff, which I bought this flashlight, which was not cheap. It's a Coleman. I think it's a Coleman. Anyway, no, it's a Maglite. Never mind. That's why it was expensive. Anyway, this came with a fire starter. I recommend a lighter. Something I've found out this weekend is unless you have some kind of accelerant, spark starters are very hard to use. You have to have the perfect tinder in order to get it started. Yeah. One knife I really need to show you is buried under everything. Multi-tool. This multi-tool is Ozark Trails. My Walmart had these on sale for $3.44, $3.84, something like that. $4 knife. And, you know, they're not the best things in the world, but when you need most of the tools that are available, you'll be glad to have those things. And it comes with its own little sheath. The knife I want to show you. Right here. The one I picked up before. This knife also sold at Walmart. Since I bought this one, I've been back a couple times and they've been sold out. But this is $8 at Walmart. As you can see, it comes serrated with a mostly sharp, regular straight edge. Very decently built knife. It's by no means a K-bar, but in a bad situation it will help you out. This is a paracord knife. It was designed to have paracord wrapped. I put this paracord on here, but it came with this stuff wrapped, but it's only a single layer. If you're going to paracord wrap your handles, I would suggest 2 to 3 layers. Gives you a bit of comfort. Also gives you something to grab a hold of, because, you know, sometimes they make these handles way too small for somebody with big oven mitts like me. Anyway. Sorry, getting a little late. Anyway, let me show you the other thing I have to show you here. Like I said, my buddy Dan helps me out quite a bit. This was actually a Christmas present from him. This is a Carnivore X2 by Camtulus. Now, I actually took off the handle and paracorded this myself. Dan bought one for himself too. I didn't have to take off his handle. I modified it a little bit and then paracorded over it. This is a knife I found at Tractor Supply. It's designed to hunt with, so I figured it'd be good to have on hand. This bracelet connects to this, so if I'm swinging and chopping with this thing, I don't have to worry about losing it. And there's a small fire starter right here. Now I went with zombie green because out in the middle of nowhere, if you drop something, you want to be able to find it. And something I meant to tell you is this knife, notice that little pocket where the lighter is. Here's where my experience with the flint starter comes from. It came with this, and again it had a different, I'm not sure if it even had a lanyard on it. Anyway, it came with this, and it was all black before I decided to use it. Again, unless you have some kind of accelerant, not really the best thing to try and start a fire with. I would recommend having quite a few lighters. Granted, at least have one, because in the event you lose lighter fluid, you'll need to have something. And then in your post, you also asked about firearms. For a bug out bag, I recommend 22. And give me a second and I'll show you why. Gatorade bottle. Clean it out, put a Descant pack in it. This holds about 500-600 rounds of 22 ammo. If you try to put 9mm in it, and as some people suggested, 223 and other similar rounds, you're not going to get to hold much ammo in your bug out bag. And I would recommend the Heritage Arms makes a gun called the Rough Rider. The Rough Rider is a old-fashioned pistol. It's the same pistol that Teddy Roosevelt used in combat. Anyway, I would recommend one of these, mainly because we're talking about budgeting here. These run from a little over $100, so we're talking like $130 at the most. And most people don't like 22 because, you know, it doesn't do much damage or things like that. When you're in a bug out situation, space is key. If you can carry 500 rounds of a small, effective firearm, which you can place shots, it's going to be more useful to you than carrying a cannon where you only get 5 rounds. So, in that situation, that's what firearm I would choose to use. I have not gotten around to getting one of those guns because Dan did help me out. And what Dan gave me, this was my first firearm I ever got. It's a Henry Survival Rifle. Now see, this breaks down into the stock. And this weekend I found some problems with that as well, because the stock, once it gets warm, decides it doesn't want to stay on very long. So if you're bumping around, anything that goes on there will, get knocked out. I do believe it comes with 2 mags. It holds 3 if you're just putting them into the butt. See, it holds two, and it'll hold one in the receiver when you put it in. I decided to fix some things about mine. Anyway, Dan was also gracious enough to give me his extra magazines that goes with it, so I actually have 6. And of course I had to tactical it up because I just basically wanted to keep all my mags with me. And it also comes with a peep sight. I replaced that with a ghost ring from a paperclip because I don't like to have my sight taken up. Very accurate rifle. It's about $350. If you can afford it, it's a good rifle to have. But I would prefer to go with the biggest 22 LR revolver you can find. The reason for that logic is I can tell you from experience that this rifle is a pain in the butt to clean, especially out in the field. And it gets so dirty that after every 150 rounds, they suggest you clean it. May not have that luxury. A revolver is much easier to clean. You just need a few Q-tips. And some cleaner. PB Blast is good because you don't need a lot of lubrication when it comes to a revolver. But it does lubricate as well as clean. So that negates the need for carrying oil and stuff like that too. So I would suggest doing that route because it's just much easier to maintain. And when it comes to knives, you're probably wondering why I don't suggest you carry just a random pocket knife with you, because they do make some good ones. Pocket knives have a habit of loosening up quite a bit. I don't like having to deal with that, because if you're in the middle of any given situation and use your knife a lot, you're going to want it to where it won't be folding in on you in the middle of a cut, where it won't lock when you need it to. So I just suggest having fixed blade knives. I think that covers everything, and considering we're probably going on a 40-minute video, I do apologize. I didn't realize that I had that many crappy opinions about stuff. I guess I ought to wrap it up. I'm sure I probably missed some things. I probably meant to say some things that I didn't say. This is by no means an exhausted video, and I will probably add on to it later. I will probably make follow-up videos. But I hope this answered your question. I hope it gave you some helpful hints. As one poor prepping Christian to another, I just want to say God bless. Hopefully you find what you want to prep with. God bless.